Good afternoon. Welcome to Channel 8 Sports and East Brunswick High School football. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, being joined by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill for today's game, East Brunswick Woodbridge season finale. And I can't believe we're at the end of the season for East Brunswick.
Really?
Before we talk about that, though, guys, I want to talk about Woodbridge, and you see him on your screen right now. More importantly, a story that Phil Hill is breaking for us here on Channel 8. That has to do with the field.
Well, it happened to be the story when I walked up here, John. I talked to Marcus Borden, and he was very livid. He walked out on the field. The field is somewhat of a quagmire, and he felt that he should have been notified early, either to change it to another day or certainly let his people know about the condition of the field. Talked to Joe Dorsey, the athletic director for Woodbridge, and he said, quite frankly, some kids apparently came in about 11 o'clock last night, turned on the sprinklers. They stayed on till about, I guess, 4 o'clock. He said he arrived here about 6 o'clock and looked at the field, had to make a decision. Around 8 o'clock, he said the weather seemed fine. There was some wind. He decided to go ahead with it, but he was really concerned about it. He says if the officials want to call this game after a few plays, he has no problem with that. But he had to make a tough decision, and he made it. Mark is very upset about the conditions of the field, feeling that the edge would go to Woodbridge because feeling that the Bears have more speed than the Barons.
Sure. When we talk about East Brunswick, Jimmy, they come in 4-4 after a disappointing loss last week to Bayonne. Season finale, as we said. Really, it's just pride. It's really maybe something for next year.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's very simple mathematics. They win today, they have a winning season. They don't, they have a 4-5 season. And I think you have to go back to Marcus Borden's first year, 1983, 84. Okay, 1983 fall season, where they had East Brunswick had its last losing season. So certainly that is incentive, and pride, character, all these things that we talked about play in today's game. It is interesting that that the field conditions are what they are. Looks like East Brunswick has won the toss, John?
Yes, they have.
Yeah, okay. And you're right, they do have the team speed. East Brunswick definitely has a running-oriented offense. With Troy White at quarterback, and they would like to exploit that today. We'll just have to watch the first few plays and see what the field's going to be like, because certainly as the teams play more, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, and you can see on your screen there, I think that's Mike Pilato, number 42. You can see how dirty he is already, and that's just from pregame warm-ups. So we'll see what the conditions do to dictate this game, particularly for East Brunswick with that wishbone offense. And we're about ready for this kickoff. East Brunswick will receive. They're in their visitors' white jerseys. They'll be moving right to left on your screen. Woodbridge, the Barons, in their home red. And the Barons come in, Phil, 1-6.
1-6, and not a very good year for the Barons. I think Mike Salento has decided to play a lot of young players. He has two young sophomore quarterbacks, which he's going to play today. And I think at this stage of the year, what you want to do is give the younger kids some experience and get ready for the future. So Mike Salento not uptight at all when I talked to him earlier, and just trying to develop younger players right now.
Okay, for East Brunswick, back deep will be number 33, Casanelli, and 39, Lung.
It's been an up-and-down season all year, John, for East Brunswick, starting out with the loss to Cherokee, and then they won against Saraville, consecutive losses to Edison, Perth Amboy, and then they had 3 consecutive wins. Then they lost to Bayonne last week. So here we are, 4-4.
Yeah. And we're about ready to go. McDougal will kick it off for Woodbridge, number 66. And this game is underway, and you can see McDougal slipped a little bit. This will be Johnson, number 19, at the 25. Still on his feet as he gets near the 40, and East Brunswick will have good field position to start off the game.
Well, I'll tell you, they're right in the middle of that field there, so we'll really get an idea right away, John, just what the footing will do to this wishbone attack.
Well, maybe this is an opportunity to go to the airfield. The receivers certainly know their routes.
That's
put
true,
a little
but
pressure.
If you're going to be a quarterback, you need good footing in order to set up too, John. Otherwise, you're going to throw a few interceptions.
All right, the Bears come out, 1st and 10.
And you see Troy Johnson back there in the starting backfield.
Barnell Johnson behind White.
Sorry.
And that's Casanelli. He'll pick up 3.
So maybe that's something we can look forward to. Phil was talking about Woodbridge using a lot of young people. I think the same can be true with East Brunswick. Farnell Johnson, certainly the running back of the future for East Brunswick. Why not give him some action today?
I'll tell you had Bob Peterson and Rick Lehman, number 75, and on the tackle there for Woodbridge.
Ball spotted at the East Brunswick 42-yard line, 2nd and about 7. There's Johnson. And he may have a yard. Not much more than that.
And that is Varnell Johnson's first action from the line of scrimmage offensively this year.
That's right.
So East Brunswick quickly into a third and fairly long situation. Third and about 5. Ball just shy of the East Brunswick 45-yard line.
And they don't go to the trips.
Stay in that wishbone formation. That's Rulo, and he's going to be short of the first down. Crosses the 45 to about the 47.
And John, I tell you, you can expect from both teams a lot of basic stuff today. Again, the field will dictate that. You can't do a lot of fancy stuff. You won't see a whole lot of rolling out or anything, things of that sort. So they'll be running basics, trying to control that ball.
Well, it appears East Brunswick on a 4th and about 2 is going to punt.
Yeah. Well, the wind is a factor here, too.
That's a good point. The wind is blowing hard.
Yeah, and it's going against East Brunswick, too. Well,
Staley back to punt. No one really back deep for Woodbridge.
Perhaps they're not expecting anything.
Staley gets off a kick considering the wind isn't bad. And it'll settle in at around the Woodbridge 31-yard line.
And I tell you, Woodbridge felt so confident about that, they sent nobody back. They just let the ball fall where it will.
Well, that ball really traveled only 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. So Woodbridge finding itself in good field position here to start its first drive.
Jason Mormon is the quarterback, number 17. I believe he's a sophomore. They come out in a split backfield formation. Handoff to Barton, Marvin Barton, number 22, picks up a yard.
And Marvin Barton, you got to keep an eye on him. Last week against Colonia, he ran for a 69-yard touchdown. So he's a young man that can break it, John.
They give Barton about a yard. Let's call it 2nd and 9. The ball at the Woodbridge 32. Two receivers to the left now. Mormon on a little option keeps, gets back to the line of scrimmage, so it'll bring up a 3rd down. And you can see the players having difficulty moving about. They're slipping and sliding, particularly the linemen, Phil.
You're right.
3rd and 9. And we'll see if Mormon puts it up. He's in a shotgun formation. High snap. Ball's on the ground.
That's anybody's ball there to get.
And that's not Mormon. That's the other sophomore quarterback.
Chris Kablakowicz.
Give it a shot.
Chris Kablakowicz. And Chris is actually the better passer of the two. That's why he's in there on that down. Unfortunately, a high snap from center.
He's lost yardage, so it'll be 4th down and let's say about 13. The ball spotted right on the 30-yard line.
Well, as East Brunswick had trouble with the wind on the punt, this should be to Woodbridge's advantage.
Casanelli and Pilato back deep for the Bears. The punt attempt low over Pilato's head. He'll pick it up at the 25, and that's where he'll be stopped.
All right.
Just short of the 25.
And I'll tell you, Marcus Borden had to be holding his breath. Pilato should have simply fell on that ball. He tried to pick it up, and as he was picking it up, he could have got hit. He could have popped out. He should have simply fall on the ball.
What really happened there was all the things that you don't want to do. Not to be critical, but Mike was not deep enough on the ball, so it bounced over. Instead of falling on it, he tried to pick it up. East Brunswick very fortunate that it wasn't fumbled.
1st and 10 for the Bears at their own 24-yard line. 7:24 left here in the first period. No score as Rulo fights his way across the 25 to about the 27.
And East Brunswick staying with its straight-ahead game.
Well, as I mentioned again, Jimmy, not too much fancy stuff. They will do the basic stuff, try to control that ball.
Well, if anything, this is going to mean a fast-moving game.
Yeah, we'll be home by 1:30. 2nd and 6 for the Bears. Still in that wishbone formation. White keeps, slips and falls and gets close to the 30. They'll mark him just short of it, however.
And again, the footing, you do see it. It is a factor.
All right,
And an official timeout. Equipment. Someone on Woodbridge.
Well, what are they doing? It doesn't look like anybody's having equipment trouble.
One guy, one player from Woodbridge in the huddle. Someone's working on one of his shoulder pads.
Okay.
He's partially shielded from us. And I have to say, it's kind of a listless day here. It's just.
Well, it's actually a nice day. It's sort of a listless game
in terms
thus
of
far.
emotion. And
Yeah.
Well, when you're 1-6, the Woodbridge fans haven't had much to cheer about. The Bears are out of the playoffs, so.
All right, let's see. 3rd and 4. White rolls to his left.
Yeah, he's going to get caught.
And he gets back to about the line of scrimmage. So 4th down again.
John, I think your point is well taken, but look at it from the perspective of East Brunswick having been so successful in recent years in making the Central Jersey playoffs. This is a year that they're not going to do it, and it's that type of contrast. So you can't win every year. It's basically that type of situation.
Well, there is something to fight for, though, Jim, as you mentioned, and that is a winning record for the Bears, and certainly for Woodbridge, some pride and something to start on for 1990. Staley on the punt. Gets off a high kick. The wind is going to hold this up. And it'll be down by East Brunswick at about the Woodbridge 46.
And I'll tell you, Mike Salento's giving an earful to a couple of his players. Right, if you're not going to catch that ball, get away from it before it bounces and hit you, and gives the other team an opportunity.
Well, what's happening with these exchange of punts, the winds being what they are, Woodbridge is gaining better field position.
Mormon back in at quarterback, number 17. And the officials are placing the ball in the center of the field. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Barons. 5:23 left here in the first period. No score, East Brunswick Woodbridge from Prisco Stadium here at Woodbridge High School. Here's a wishbone formation now for Woodbridge. Barton on the carry, and Barton picks up 6 yards.
Phil, something I'm noticing, a lot of the players are wearing gloves today, as they usually do. With a muddy condition like this and with mud and moisture getting on those gloves, what does it do to the players' ability to hold onto the ball?
Naturally, if it gets on the gloves, they're going to be at a disadvantage, but it seems to be the in thing for young players now, and they adapt to it, Jim. They really do.
2nd and about 4 for the Barons. They cross midfield. Handoff inside, that's number 8, Tolko.
And we're not surprised seeing the Barons go to wishbone. If you remember last year when they came to East Brunswick, they came with the wishbone. And for the first half, as you might recall,
Yes.
they were in the game.
Well, this brings up a 3rd and about, well, let's say a long one, maybe 2 yards for the Barons. Ball just shy of the East Brunswick 45. Again, full house or wishbone backfield. Mormon to Barton. Barton has the first down as he kind of slides his way through.
Yeah, East Brunswick doesn't seem to be getting the same type of penetration from its linebackers that they've normally been accustomed to.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim, being that you mentioned it, they're missing one of their better players at linebacker,
right.
Scott Kammerer, who's not in the game. Of course, we know last week at Bayonne, game got a little rough, and you know, if you get involved, you have to sit out the next game. That's what happened to Scott, and Scott's an awful nice kid, so you just hate to see it happen.
1st and 10 for the Barons at the East Brunswick 43. Mormon keeps, and he's actually carried forward for about 3 yards.
Yeah, and this drive right here, what's been the key so far is Woodbridge getting good yardage on the first down. And there's another 5 right there, it looks.
Yeah, Mormon picked up 2 and then was carried for another 3 for a 5-yard gain in total.
And again, when you're racking someone, when you're about to hit someone, you have to have your feet underneath you, John. If you don't, those cleats don't fit in as well, and you tend to go back rather than to go for it.
2nd and 5 for the Barons. Ball at the East Brunswick 39. Barton spins and twists his way for a pickup of 2. Just shy of the East Brunswick 35.
And Marvin Barton, and he's a junior, so he's a young man that will be back for Woodbridge next year. And again, Mike Salento trying to develop some of that young talent, and he has an awful lot of it. So they'll be heard from in the future.
Clock running down to 2:30 left first period. Woodbridge really mounting the first drive of the game.
Neither team has thrown the ball.
Third and about 3. Woodbridge sends man wide right. That's Sullivan. Mormon hands off inside. I think it was to Barton. I'm not sure. Tolko, rather.
They're going to be short, John, and I suspect they're going to go for this.
It'll bring up 4th and 2 at the East Brunswick 35. And why not, Jim?
Sure.
1 and 6, what do you have to lose?
And they're deep in their own deep
right.
in East Brunswick's territory.
Here we go. The Barons looking to pick up another first down. They're in East Brunswick territory at the 35. Tolko still on his feet. He's got the first down.
Yeah, he's been a good workhorse for Woodbridge thus far. Nothing fancy.
I'll tell you, Frank Tolko, the senior, running hard there, picking up the all-important first down.
And the ball will be spotted at the East Brunswick 30. 1st and 10 for the Barons.
It's a time-consuming drive here. And the Bears are going to have to dig in here, play a little inspirational defense right now. They're kind of getting pushed around.
Barons now at the East Brunswick 30-yard line. 1st and 10, looking to get on the board. Mormon pitches back to Tolko, and he'll be knocked out of bounds short of the 25.
Played well by Pilato on that. It looks like Tolko had a little more daylight than what he had, but Pilato came up and met him and really only got about a 3-yard gain out of that.
You know, I can't help but think, Phil and Jim, how this field today has just neutralized East Brunswick's speed. I mean, they are fairly even now in terms of team speed.
It really does appear that, doesn't it?
Anyway, it'll be 2nd and let's call it 7 for the Barons. Ball just over the East Brunswick 25, say the East Brunswick 27-yard line. And Mormon looking to throw. He's got a man.
Ooh.
Good
Nice
defensive play by Pilato.
Right, he met him head on.
He hammered him.
Ball was intended for number 83. That's Scott Moorcraft. Moorcraft got nailed.
Yeah, he was going to catch it, and Pilato timed it just right.
And we've talked about it. We haven't seen too much passing off of the wishbone, but there's a dive play, fake the dive, and coming up, trying to hit your split in.
Yeah, Woodbridge trying to go to this side a lot, it seems.
So it'll bring up 3rd and 7 for the Barons. And do they have a kicker of any consequence that we know of? Well, they split the backfield. Mormon keeps the ball, rolls to his left,
Whoops.
looking. He's being pressured, throws it up in the air, and it's going to fall incomplete. And so a 4th down, and now we'll see what Coach Leno decides to do. He's got 4th and 7.
And the Bear defense putting good pressure on Mormon and also providing super coverage downfield.
Right, I'll tell you what, I don't know if we caught it on our cameras, but it looks like Tom German was guilty of tugging on the shirt of the receiver just a little bit.
No.
Looks like the looks like the receiver was going to try to break through to the end zone.
Okay, number 13 comes in at quarterback, and we're still trying to pronounce his last name properly. Kobolakowicz?
Here we go.
I believe that's how they say it. He's in a shotgun formation. And another bad snap. He pulls it down, though. He's looking deep in the end zone. Moorcraft and Pilato stays right with him.
I'll tell you, give Pilato credit. He stayed right with him. I tell you, if anything, it could have been offensive interference.
Well, I'll tell you what, give the officials credit on that, too. He could have made a call if he wanted to, but the ball was lofted up in the air, and at that point, it was anybody's ball because both defensive player and offensive player had position on it.
Right, Jim. Number 83, Scott Moorcraft, going out for the ball. He did have a step on Pilato, had to wait for the pass, but he was slightly on Pilato's back.
Well, East Brunswick will take over with 30 seconds left here in the first period. The ball resting at the East Brunswick 27. White at quarterback. They stay in the full house or wishbone offense. Inside goes Rulo, I believe. Pechar, I'm sorry, number 45.
That's probably going to be it for the quarter. I think Marcus Borden is going to be content just to run out the clock and take his chances with the wind. Although we see a limp flag out there now. The wind has been a factor thus far. We noticed it in the punts. But right now, no wind whatsoever.
And that'll do it. First quarter here comes to an end at Woodbridge High School. No score.
Well,
Phil, you're looking at me and...
Well, John, I was just thinking we've made an awful lot, much to do about the playing conditions. I mean, I was thinking back to something Joe Dorsey, the athletic director for Woodbridge, said. He said, listen, we're 1-6. If a wet field would make all that much of a difference, then we'd do it we might do that every game. He says, but we got young players, and we just want to play. And, again, he seems to feel very badly about it.
Phil, let me ask you, you've had an opportunity to talk with Mike Salento, the coach, who is a very outgoing, very positive individual. He's got to be a little shell-shocked by the 1-6 record.
I'd have to think so. You got to remember, Mike Salento was actually recruited for Woodbridge. I mean, Mike was at Metuchen, and then he was at Perth Amboy, and then came back home. He's a former quarterback for Colonia, coming back home, so to speak. And I think you got to believe the fans were expecting, instant success. But I think he's going to stay with it, like as I said, developing the young players. And he's been a winner in the past, and he's going to develop a winner here, I think, John.
Well, the problem has not been the ability to draw, enough individuals to the Woodbridge program. Yeah. They just don't seem to have the numbers out.
All right, Phil, or Jimmy, I guess you mentioned before, we'll see what we can do with the wind, and that's where Marcus Borden starts as Troy White from the shotgun, although he's pulled down.
Loss, 2 yards.
And gets back to maybe the original line of scrimmage.
But that does look like the strategy for the Bears.
With the wind throw.
And that was Bob Peterson, I believe, on the tackle, number 51.
Of course, the line does have to provide protection.
Third and about 11 now for the Bears as we start this second period. No score from Woodbridge High School. And the trips are to the left now. White in the shotgun formation. He'll roll to his left just a bit, looking downfield for Lung. Ooh. Overthrown.
And Lung fell, not that he would have been able to get to the pass.
But again, Lung is trying to make his cut to situate his body to get in position. He had a step on his man, but still couldn't get it quite situated again because couldn't get his footing correct.
So Staley will come out for his third punt of the game already.
I expect to see a vast improvement. Drew Staley has been a great punter for East Brunswick this year. He's gotten off a number of good ones.
Back for Woodbridge is, as soon as I get my program here, number 5, Figueroa.
Beautiful punt.
And a great punt drives Figueroa back to his own 35. He's slipping and sliding, looking for a block, and he's going to be dropped, and so is a flag.
Is that a flag out there?
And it's getting a little rough, and a second flag. And that's a retaliation flag.
Right, and it's Staley, more for mouthing off than anything else.
I'll tell you,
there are 2 flags on, so these may be neutralized.
John, I thought you were singing a song a little while ago about slipping and sliding, but you're right, Figueroa trying to get his footing, trying to turn upfield, and it was just very difficult.
Look, across the field, Marcus Borden is giving it to Staley, and well, he should. East Brunswick probably was going to have a good advantage there with Woodbridge probably getting the foul for an illegal block. Now it's neutralized by the 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct.
Clipping against Woodbridge. So they'll mark that foul off, and then they'll probably mark off the personal foul against East Brunswick.
15-15. Why take the walk?
Well, it's actually from the point of the clip, so there could be a difference here.
Well, we'll just watch in this exercise here.
So the clip against Woodbridge will move the ball back to the Woodbridge 30. And now the personal foul, a dead ball foul against East Brunswick.
Just curious.
Yeah, I'm with Jimmy. Save the walk, okay?
Oh, Lord.
So after everything is all said and done and everyone has walked through their paces.
Well, we actually know what's going on, fortunately.
The ball is spotted at the Woodbridge 43-yard line, and that's where they'll have it, 1st and 10 with 11 minutes to go here in the second period. No score, East Brunswick Woodbridge.
And if we thought Woodbridge was conservative the first quarter, watch him now.
Mormon to Barton. Barton, big hole, and he'll have a first down.
Nice run. And the Barons are back into Bear territory again.
Good running by Marvin Barton, number 22, the junior.
Looks like they're going to measure this, John.
And while we have a moment, we want to take this time to welcome all the viewers from Woodbridge who will be seeing this tape, certainly after the fact, but we welcome them to the Channel 8 crew. I'm John Meggiolaro with Jim Allinder and Phil Hill, bringing you this East Brunswick Woodbridge season finale.
Well, it's not the season finale for Woodbridge. They have one more with
right.
JFK.
They play Thanksgiving.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Second and about a half yard, and Barton gets it this time, and more, as he gets across midfield and is taken down around the East Brunswick, let's say, 44-yard line.
Again, good first down yardage for Woodbridge. The reason why the Bears are concluding their season today is because they opened up a week earlier at Cherokee down in South Jersey, and thought that they would be able to have a couple of weeks off in between the playoffs, but not having qualified for the playoffs, this is it.
They're going to have a lot of time off, yes. First down, the Barons. Mormon to Tolko. Tolko picks up maybe 2.
And Rulo in on the tackle there, along with Scott Bernardi.
And this time-consuming drive by Woodbridge, actually the entire game has, with 9.5 minutes left to go in the first half, East Brunswick has had the ball but for 3 possessions.
Maybe we'll get a chance later. I don't know if our cameras can pick it up maybe after this play, but they are going to install lights here at the field. And we can see the cement stanchions being set in the ground already as Mormon fakes, rolls to his right, looking to put the ball up. He's going to keep it. Still on his feet, down close to the East Brunswick 35.
Well, blame it on the field conditions or what you will, but it is very apparent that East Brunswick is not playing with the same type of defensive aggressiveness that we've been accustomed to throughout the year. The linebackers, if nothing else, have always been in on the quarterback. That hasn't been the case today.
Well, 2 reasons. Again, we mentioned the absence of Scott Kammerer, but also you cannot commit yourself as early. If you commit yourself and make a mistake, and the offensive player has good footing, he's gone.
3rd and 2 for the Barons, just shy of the East Brunswick 35-yard line. Mormon to Tolko, and I think he's got it. He'll be close. Let's see where they spot it.
And I guess Marcus Borden must be a little frustrated at this point. Things not really going well for the Bears today, thus far.
And a timeout has been called as they bring the chains across. And speaking of Marcus Borden, you've got to think he's frustrated. I mean, last week, East Brunswick in the game up until halftime got blown out the second half. I'm sure here he wanted to make a statement about East Brunswick football, and he comes in and the field conditions are not what he expected. So a lot of frustration, I'm sure.
I think so. Last week against Bayonne, the Bears out gaining them 244 yards to 192 for Bayonne, yet it was just one of those games.
Big plays, interceptions.
And I think we sort of expected somewhat of a letdown after the super game they played against Madison Central. But to be in the game and then have, interceptions, kickoff returns, et cetera, turn out like that has to disturb you.
1st and 10 for the Barons from the East Brunswick 34-yard line. Tolko keeps it, and he'll pick up 2. And this looks like it's going to be this way all day. Up the gut, until something breaks.
Well, with that notion, you would think that the Bears would make some sort of adjustment, maybe, Phil, overplay on the middle.
Well, there's not you can't really do that, Jimmy. You just got to stand your ground. If that's what they're doing, you got to just get tougher in there. There's no adjustments really to be made. They're not doing anything fancy.
They give Tolko 3. Let's call it 2nd and 7. Inside goes Barton. And he'll pick up about 3. So they're chipping away, nickel and diming him, as they say. And it'll bring up a third and about 4 yards for Woodbridge. 6:50 left here in the second period. No score. East Brunswick Woodbridge from Woodbridge High School.
Official timeout there.
And Rulo having some equipment problems.
Gallagher going in, number 42, replacing Barton.
If my memory serves me correct, last time we were here 2 years ago, East Brunswick had a rather odd game against Woodbridge where I remember Brian Forte standing on about his own 2-yard line to punt and faked it and did not make the first down. And
It
it's
was
kind
an
of been this
aerial
way.
show. It was an aerial show. I remember Dave Potter
Well,
had a couple of nice catches that game.
It wasn't totally an aerial show. They had a kid by the name of Dennis McKim, I believe,
Yes,
for
for
Woodbridge,
Woodbridge.
who ate up a lot of yardage on the ground.
But I mean, it was this kind of setting. They were going back and forth for a
Right.
long period of time, and then it broke open. So it remains to be seen as Woodbridge will re-huddle. And they're still working on Rulo on the sideline.
And their attitude, Woodbridge, is with this type of offense, you know, they don't necessarily have to go for the first down on this third down. I think they feel as if they can get it close enough to the, you know, to a 4th and 2 or 4th and 1. They don't need to do anything different. This is not a situation where they have to pass.
All right, it's 3rd and 4 for the Barons. 6:35 left here, second period. Ball just shy of the East Brunswick 30. Fumble. And I think East Brunswick has it. Oh, it was recovered by number 42, Kevin Gallagher. And I don't know how he
It
pulled
looked
that
like
ball
a free
back.
ball. It
Yeah.
looked like the East Brunswick defender was there first.
I think that was Wushman, is it? 56?
Wolfskill. He's not playing today, John. Wolfskill's not in.
55
Could
then,
have been
I'm sorry.
55, yeah.
Adocio. I thought Adocio had his hands on that, and
Well, regardless,
Gallagher comes up with it.
it forces Woodbridge into a punting situation now. And there goes Varnell Johnson.
A little late, but he gets back in
He's
time.
there. And let's watch for the run back here.
Punt is short, but it'll get a good roll, and the ball will settle in at around the East Brunswick 11.
Plop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a wedge shot.
Well, a situation where Woodbridge not really showing a great kicking game, but it was just the right touch to get the ball inside the 20. And the Bears have to be careful here. They really do. This could be a game where turnovers deep in one's own territory could mean the difference.
All right, the Bears will have it. 1st and 10 from their own 11.
Now, have we seen the wishbone out from East Brunswick yet?
Yes, we have.
Oh, they've been
Okay.
in the wishbone, yeah.
Wishbone.
Johnson, and he gets the line of scrimmage.
That was Johnson on the carry.
Maybe one.
Lehman on the stop. Gain of a yard.
Number 75, Rick Lehman on the tackle there, and Frank Tolko coming up giving support. Number 8.
Tolko, of course, the running back on offense.
Actually, they give Johnson a yard, so let's call it 2nd and 9.
Now the Bears are spread out a little
From
more.
the East Brunswick 12. White rolls to his right, has some room, and he'll pick up maybe 2. But it'll bring up a 3rd down for East Brunswick, 3rd and about 7.
And Rick Nyers, number 40,
Myers and
in on the tackle.
You know, let's give credit to Woodbridge defense so
They're playing
far.
tough.
Yeah, they have not given anything.
it's up to the
And these people we're talking about are sophomores and juniors. Rick Nyers, number 40, in on that tackle. He's a junior. He'll be back.
3rd and a good 7.
Rick Lehman, number 75, on the tackle before. He's a junior.
East Brunswick 3rd and 7. White from a wishbone formation pitches back to Johnson. He's got the room in, first down. Good
And-
block by R.J. Davis.
Right, Davis nailed his defender, and that was enough to get Johnson loose for the first down of the afternoon for East Brunswick.
And I'll tell you,
That's
we
right.
talked about Varnell Johnson, this being his first offensive show this year, and he's making the best of it. You can see he has that type of speed. Once he gets to the outside,
He wants to.
He can go.
1st and 10 for East Brunswick at their own 24-yard line.
White.
Inside handoff. Rulo, I believe.
Good yards.
And I tell you, they got it going like they want. That's what you want to do. You want to keep keep Woodbridge off bounds. Slap it up the middle, then hit to the outside.
Rulo picks up 5.
And in the wishbone, as we mentioned time and time again, the fullback is really the key. If you have to respect that fullback, then everything else will open up.
2nd and 5 for the Bears. Bull just shy of their own 30. Inside, Pilato
On a counter.
Nothing there.
gets maybe a half yard. So 3rd and about, let's call it a long 4 for East Brunswick.
Right, and a good situation for the Bears to spread it out. Let Troy White either go left or right and make the option to pitch, throw, keep it himself.
And Lehman and Nyers again on the tackle. 2 young men who'll be back for Woodbridge.
Clock down to 2:40. And the trips go to the right this time.
Right, look at the Bears spread it out.
Shotgun formation for White. White looks, throwing.
Ooh.
Ball is
Great play.
intercepted. Great defensive play.
It really was.
Tolko, number 8, on
He
Lung.
sure did. Not only did he make, that wasn't Toko, was it?
Yes, number 8.
80, thought it was 85, but anyway, 85.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that Moorcraft?
No,
Vendewald.
Venewald.
Okay. Not only was it a great defensive play, knocking the ball, but he tipped it up in the air and made his own interception.
Frank
So that's the first turnover.
Roger Venewald, a senior.
Well, with 2:20, the Barons have it. 1st and 10 in East Brunswick territory. The ball spotted at the East Brunswick 34. Here comes Barton. Crosses the 30, or gets to the 30.
And with the clock approaching 2 minutes, John, I guess Woodbridge has to be a little less conservative. They can't really just afford to, run the ball 3-4 yard clips here and expect to get it in.
Pilato and German in on the tackle there.
Clock on the move. 1:50 left, second period. 2nd and 7.
I believe all teams have their timeouts.
Woodbridge has looked good thus far. Inside is number 22. That's Barton again.
Don't understand that play from Woodbridge's perspective. I mean, each play is running off about 25 to 30 seconds a time, and we're already under a minute and a half.
Well, you can look for where they fake that dive into the line and pop it right here.
Ball is spotted at the East Brunswick 28. It's 3rd and about 5 for the Barons. 1:10 left in the period. And here's Barton.
I'm still looking, Phil.
And I got to agree with you, Jim.
It's just completely unimaginative. I mean, you want to play conservative. Field goal has to be out of the question. What wind there is now, we have to note that the wind has subsided a lot.
Well, it's 4th and 4.
And the clock continues to run.
We're down to 42 seconds.
It may be that Woodbridge is content just to play this half out at 0-0. I don't know.
Well, I doubt that.
4th down.
Mormon at quarterback. Keeps, he rolls to his left. Tries to cut up, slides to the outside. Will stop the clock, but I'm not sure if he's
short.
got the first down. I think he's short.
Now,
Castanelli coming up first, making the initial hit, slowing him down, and the Bears take over. And I tell you, if you're 1-6 and and you're not on 3rd down trying a little play action or trying to get the ball into the end zone, you gotta wonder what's going on. You have nothing to lose at this stage of the game or at this stage of the year.
Yeah, you really have to wonder about that play calling. But East Brunswick will take over. They have 24 seconds. The ball at the East Brunswick 26-yard line.
Not a lot of time, but, well, look at this. We have the wishbone. I don't think you're going to do too much out of that.
And Johnson crosses the 25 to about the 27.
No one's calling timeout.
And
That's the strategy. Let's get the half over with and
hope the field dries.
Yeah.
And we're down to the last 10 seconds.
That's it. They're not even going to run another play.
And that'll do it. So a scoreless first half here from Prisco Stadium, Woodbridge High School. And I think we're quite surprised by it.
Well, not much to recap statistically. I think both teams had themselves about 4 offensive possessions throughout the entire half, running predominantly. What we have, maybe 3 or 4 passes, if that. I think White threw twice. Once it was incomplete. The other one was intercepted. And, boy, you got to wonder.
Well, you got to wonder. I just You know, I have a thing about playing not to lose. You know, I think you got to play to win. And Woodbridge clearly had an opportunity down there. They can throw the ball somewhat. And, you know, granted, we've talked about in the past the wishbone calls for patience in the sticking with that ground attack. But clearly, in that situation there, you had to feel they had to go to the air.
Yeah, John, before we go off, does East Brunswick need to change things offensively? Should they take more risk passing? I mean, something's going to have to happen differently, or else the field conditions are going to just limit everything.
Well, we'll see when they come out in the second half. And we'll be back with the start of the second half action in just a moment.
To start the second half.
Well, we're about ready to get the second half underway here from Woodbridge High School. No score, 0-0. Jimmy, whatever stat you have, I'll let you have center stage here.
Well, I think we have a total of 31 yards rushing for East Brunswick for its part. Rulo was the, well, I wouldn't call him the major ball carrier, but he made the most yards, 16. White had a net of 3 with about 4 or 5 carries. Todd Bakar had 1 carry for 2 yards, and Johnson had 2 carries. He had the biggest carry of the first half. If you remember, he was able to squirt through for I think the only first down that East Brunswick had. So he has 10 yards, and White was 0 for 2 in the passing department, including that 1 interception. But East Brunswick was able to hold off Woodbridge, and I guess we're looking for a more spirited second half here.
Yeah, and I think one thing we should point out, and it was interesting because the 3 of us went down to the snack bar, if you will. People were upset by what they saw, particularly the last minute or so of the first half. Phil?
Well, I just and you got to expect that. Again, I don't mean to harp on it, but again, neither of these teams are going any place right now. And Woodbridge, particularly 1-6, they're down there with a third down in striking distance there, and they didn't seem to come up with. They didn't seem to go after it. You know, they seem to play rather safe, and I think that's what has the fans a little bit upset. Go for something.
That's right. Well, East Brunswick will receive to start off the third period.
And it looks like Woodbridge is elected to, and the wind is kicked up again.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a factor. Perhaps you can hear it through our headsets.
Back for East Brunswick will be Lung, number 39, and Casanelli, number 33. Last game of the season for East Brunswick. Woodbridge plays on Thanksgiving Day. And as we go through this second half, we will be sure to continue our custom of reading off the names of all the seniors, this year's seniors. And we'll do that as soon as we get somewhere into the mid-third quarter. And a good kickoff. McDougal, this will be Casanelli from the 10-yard line.
All right, there's a
and
whistle. John. And looks like offside on Woodbridge. The referee up here on the other side of the field is pointing. No flag. Well, there was a flag thrown. I see what that is. The yellow flag is.
It's in a baggie.
It's in a. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
protected from the mud. I'll tell you, while kickoff, while many times you have a pretty good kick person that kicks off, doesn't always mean that you have a pretty good field goal kicker. Yeah. But that kid put some foot into it, and it has to get you thinking back to when they were in field goal range there.
Why didn't they give it a shot?
Again, probably because of the footing, Jim. You got to get that off foot.
Yeah, all things have to work in order. And by the way, on that few times that they've had a shotgun, the snap from center for Woodbridge hasn't been the best.
All right, McDougal will try it again, this time from the 35-yard line. And not a bad kick. This will be Pilato at the 22. Pilato gets close to the 40, so East Brunswick will have good field position.
Yeah, probably the best they've had all day.
And a sunny afternoon, fall afternoon here at Woodbridge High School. No score as we start the third period, East Brunswick and Woodbridge. East Brunswick coming in at 4-4, Woodbridge 1-6.
Yeah, just a thought. You know, East Brunswick in a couple of games this year has used that hurry-up offense, Phil. We haven't seen that thus far. And it's a little wrinkle to throw in here to make things different. But you would think with the wind being against them that maybe they will continue to play conservative, but they can't afford to the entire game. There's just only 30 minutes left in this game.
1st and 10 for the Bears. Ball just shy of the 40-yard line. Let's call it the 38 as Rulo goes up the middle and gets across the 40.
A tough one. Maybe 2, John.
And it's the old 2 yards in a cloud of dust, Phil.
In this case,
Seems that way.
cloud of mist.
Brian Piccarillo on the tackle.
Second and about 8 for East Brunswick. Ball at the East Brunswick 41. White will roll down the line. Pitches
Whoa.
back over the head of Pilato.
That's out of bounds, fortunately for EB. They're going to lose 5 yards on it, John.
Yep. So it'll bring up a third down for East Brunswick against the wind.
And we can count on one hand probably how many times we've seen that pitch this year. They just, the Bears haven't done it an awful lot. It's usually White keeping the ball himself or just handing off for the dive. They haven't pitched the ball a whole lot.
Well, the Bears want to get the first down on this, but I'll tell you what, they're going to have to be very wary that they don't put it in the air and leave it open for anybody to pick it off.
It's 3rd and 15. The ball now at the East Brunswick 34-yard line. They will stay in that wishbone offensive formation.
I would not
White
be surprised
wide right.
to see a run here, I was going to say.
I mean, Davis wide right as White keeps it and doesn't even get up to the original line of scrimmage, and so Staley will come back in.
Kind of thought they would keep it on the ground there. They don't want to risk a turnover here. Field position is going to be increasingly important as we move, through this third quarter.
But I tell you, the Woodbridge defense, you have to give them some credit. They are playing
well. They have played well.
They are there.
Right. This has been an East Brunswick offense that is, in the last 4 games, has moved the ball well.
Staley to punt. Figueroa back along with Mizuka. Staley gets a good punt off.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Figueroa will let it go, and the ball will just stop right there at about the Woodbridge 36-yard line.
All things considered, considering the wind, Staley did a nice job in getting that ball out into Woodbridge territory and no run back.
And you see the little fellow out on the field there, coming off the field there. That's Nicholas Salento, and he's the ball boy for the Woodbridge Barrons here. And we saw him in line at the stand there.
Dead ringer for his father.
And the dead ringer for his father. You put a mustache on that young kid,
That's him.
and he's Mike Salento.
All right, the Barons have it 1st and 10. 9:55 remaining third period. They come out in the full house backfield. Barton, who has run well this afternoon, picks up maybe 3.
Nothing different for Woodbridge to start things off.
And Petchar at the bottom of the pile there.
Hey, let's hand it to the soccer teams, John. We didn't
Yes.
mention it.
Good point.
Yesterday, both the boys and girls won Central Jersey Group 4 championships.
Yes.
Girls knocking off Madison Central 6-2, and Hunterdon Central being the victim to the boys. I think it was by a 4-1 margin.
Right.
2nd and 8 for the Barons. Ball at their own 40. Right up the gut goes Tolko.
He's
He
got it.
fumbled.
He's got the first.
He's got the first down, and I think the ball was actually between his legs there, Phil, when he hit the ground.
Good hard running by Frank Tolko.
The officials are going to give it to him. No, wait up. Okay, yeah, they are. They just stopped the clock to move the chains.
So the ball now at the Woodbridge 47-yard line.
And you have to say, with this this confrontation being mostly runs, Woodbridge is the winner so far, even though they haven't scored. They have a lot more first downs.
1st and 10. Third period action, no score. Tolko again gets to the outside and picks up 7. And he's what they call, Phil, a mutter.
He's a mutter, really. He can travel through there. You got Rulo and Casanelli, however, on the tackle there before Tolko picks up that good yardage.
So I'll bring up 2nd, and, well, they say that Tolko, they only give him about maybe 5.5 yards. I thought he had more than that. So let's call it 2nd and about 5. The ball across midfield into East Brunswick territory at about the 48-yard line. And Barton stays up. He's got the first down and crosses the East Brunswick 40.
I like this kid, Marvin Barton. He keeps those legs turning, and he's going to be a good one.
And I think the Bears have to be concerned at this point. Woodbridge has moved the ball real aggressively with this first possession.
And, you know, as we look across, quite honestly, there's no emotion on the East Brunswick sideline. Almost as though they're going through the motions. They better watch out because Woodbridge is moving that
one
ball,
score
taking
here.
it to them. They've got a 1st and 10. And Barton again. And he'll pick up 2.
Go shot that time on the side. He picked up
You know, we've talked about it before, and Phil, you know for sure the feeling. Your last game as a high school player. For many of these players, they will not be playing college ball again.
That's right.
Or football in any formal way again.
Unfortunately, you just don't really think about it till it's over, though. That's the sad part about it.
2nd and 8 for the Barons. Ball inside the East Brunswick 40. Mormon keeps, gets around, crosses the 35 before he goes out of bounds.
And I tell you, I don't mean to keep
Pestinelli on the stop that time.
bringing up a point, but the fact is that Woodbridge has some talent, and they have some young talent, and they can only get better. You have to wonder if Mike Salento's going to stick with the wishbone with the type of talent he has.
Well, this is a
This will be 3rd and 5
yeah,
for Woodbridge.
probably the most important 3rd down of the game thus far.
Ball spotted at the East Brunswick 35-yard line.
3rd and about 5.
Mormon gives it to Tolko.
Straight up the middle, huh?
And
He's short.
Yep.
He got a yard on that, John. He's 3 yards short.
4th down.
And now we'll really get to see what's in Mike Salento's mind. I don't think he can safely call the types of plays that he's been calling thus far and
Well, what we-
realistically expect to get the 1st down.
What we know about the wishbone, though, Jimmy, they'll probably stick to the wishbone and try to pick up that first all-important 1st down here.
4th and about 3.5.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Quick shift that moves East Brunswick offside. Heady play there.
Right, it was
Well-
a heady play. Yeah. You were going to say something, Phil?
Well, again, it's part of the thinking that we talk about when you pull out all the stops, when you have nothing to lose.
I think they're going to call
The
an
question-
offside on East Brunswick.
The question is, did Mormon put his hands under the center? If he did, that's a legal procedure against Woodbridge.
They're going to call a legal procedure on Woodbridge, John.
He
Now,
cannot put his hands by the center.
This was a set play. This was
Oh,
a
yes,
set
it
play.
was a definite call. It's a set call.
Designed to force East Brunswick to commit first, but the way the officials called it, they decided it was an illegal procedure.
And Mike wants to speak to the boss.
Anyway, they'll mark off 5.
And I tell you, why you see Mike Salento talking to the officials there, he's been rather conservative, and as I said, Mike Salento's always been a winner himself. Remember, Mike Salento played for
Colonia?
Colorado, University of
Colorado.
Colorado, and went to the Orange Bowl in 1977 against Ohio State. So he has one eye on Colorado right now, and he says they're going to go to the Orange Bowl again against Notre Dame, but we'll see. But
No, they're gonna punt on this, I believe.
Well, it's 4th and 8 now. The ball has been moved to the East Brunswick 37-yard line.
John, I think it's an excellent move. It really puts East Brunswick back deep in their own territory, assuming that the Woodbridge punter doesn't put it in the end zone, and East Brunswick will have to work out of their own field position.
It's a short snap, Tolko, and he's going to be short. East Brunswick will take over, but you got to like the go for
you
it.
got to like it, and that's what I'm talking about. Go for something.
I would have gone for the
something.
former. I really would have punted it on that. I just think that East Brunswick has shown no ability to move the ball, and to get them down deep inside their perhaps 10-yard line, force them to punt again. I think Woodbridge would have been in better position. But,
Maybe better position, but
yeah.
psychologically you're saying you're taking it to them. That's the point. Your
Okay.
team is saying, hey, we're not sitting back on things. We're taking it to them. We're trying to get something.
Well,
That's the big difference.
We're inside of 5 minutes here in the 3rd period. East Brunswick has it now 1st and 10.
Here comes the hurry-up offense.
And they go to the trips right, shotgun formation. White will roll to his right. Plants looking, looks over the middle. He's got Tenora, I believe, number 10.
Brian Tenora.
And it'll be 1st down East Brunswick.
First completion, second first down.
And into the wind.
Well, it was the type of pass play where the wind really shouldn't have been a factor. It was just a quick shot right over the middle. Tenora was breaking inside, and White had time.
R.J. Davis is getting single coverage out here. It'll be interesting to see if at some point they don't go to him. Trips again to the right. White looks, throws down the sideline. He's got Lung,
Ooh.
overthrows him.
Right, Teddy was able to break out, but Troy overthrew him just a bit.
Bring up 2nd and 10.
Well, this certainly opens up the game for East Brunswick and also forces Woodbridge to not be as conservative in playing up tight.
Well, East Brunswick was playing Woodbridge's game, and now I think it's time to change the tune a little bit.
2nd and 10.
2nd and 10, the ball spotted at the East Brunswick 46. 4:15 left here in the 3rd period. No score as White rolls to his right. Steps up, looking for R.J. Davis, and through the hands of number 30 rather, for Woodbridge.
Rich Wiskowski.
And he had the interception, Phil.
Right. White just lofting it up there for anybody. And he threw it against the wind. That probably was held up, too.
So it's 3rd and 10.
Well, will we look for him to come back to Tenora here?
Well, you got a lot of room in that middle.
I like to see Davis cutting across the middle.
White again from the shotgun, looking, being pressured, puts it down the right corner for
Borgen.
Borgen makes the play.
Great play.
Number 8, Craig Borgen.
White was hit just after he lofted that pass, but it was a good timing play. And it's easily the best play for East Brunswick this afternoon.
Well, he had Tenora and Chris Borgen split right there. Had Tenora break in as we anticipated, and Chris Borgen sort of did it down, out and up. And Troy White hit him right on the money.
First down for East Brunswick at the Woodbridge 24-yard line. No score with 3:45, 3rd period. White taking it up the middle on that quarterback draw, and a flag is thrown. I think we're going to have holding against East Brunswick.
Oh, boy, that's not the type of penalty you want to see here. Yes, that's going to be the call, John. Second penalty for the East Brunswick Bears this afternoon. They've been pretty good as far as that is concerned.
You know, you look at the pass to Borgen, and then you look at the holding, and that's been the kind of year it's been for East Brunswick, really.
Well,
It's been a roller coaster
Yeah.
sort of year, certainly record-wise.
they've just been hard to figure out. As one local newspaper prognosticator said, they haven't picked East Brunswick correct on anything this year. So when you pick them to win, they lose, and when you pick them to lose, they win. So they've been hard to figure out, but they have been competitive.
First down and a bunch, about 23 yards for East Brunswick. Again, they're in that shotgun.
15-yard
White
penalty.
looking down the sideline again for Borgen over his head. That'll bring up 2nd down, 3:20 left on the clock. 3rd period action, no score from Prisco Stadium. And at the start of the 4th quarter, we'll read to you the names of those East Brunswick High School seniors who are, in fact, playing their last game today for the green and white. Again, trips to the right, shotgun formation. 2nd down, 23. White steps, throws over the middle. He's got Davis, and Davis drops it right out of his hands.
Well, I think RJ might have been hearing some footsteps on that one. He could have committed himself a little bit more, but I think he was bracing himself, Phil, to be hit.
It's really a matter of how you place your hands.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. There's time to have your thumbs up and time to have them turned out. And he just sort of had his hands set the wrong way.
Still would have needed about another 7 or 8 yards, even if he had caught that ball.
Yeah, he got back to the original line of scrimmage had he held on to it. So 3rd and 23 again.
Just shows you what that 15-yard penalty
Yes.
can do for a drive. And again, you got to watch for the pickoff here.
White looking, he's going to throw it deep down. He's looking for Tenora. Tenora's got it.
Yes,
Touchdown.
Short of the goal line.
just
Let's
to about
see.
the 1.
1 yard line. Great throw by White.
There it is. Nice
Timing
pass.
pattern. And
Tenora, second time Brian has caught a pass today. And that one was for about 35 yards.
And I'll tell you, the coverage wasn't that bad by Woodbridge.
You're right.
Just Troy lofted it up and put it right in the breadbasket.
So East Brunswick has it, 1st and 10, goal to goal with 2:55 left, third period. And looking for the first score of this game.
And this will be Mr. Rulo.
We're all making our calls here, huh?
And there it is, touchdown, East Brunswick.
Bill's right.
Whoa, wait a minute, no indication. Oh, they'll call it second down.
It looked like he was in, didn't it?
Wow, I thought he was running into the parking lot.
I thought apparently Greg's knees touched the ground before he went over.
Well, a little premature with that one. About a half yard to go. It'll be second down.
East Brunswick wanting to be careful on the exchange here.
And Troy White will take this himself.
Troy's going to take this one.
No, it's Rulo.
Now he's in.
And he's finally in, and East Brunswick goes on top with 2:10 left.
Okay.
Third period, 6-0, the Bears.
I was with you, Phil. I thought the way Troy went over top of center that he was going to take it in himself.
And Cairns will come on for the extra point.
So we finally have our first score here, gentlemen. I was starting to get a little concerned. And these visions of a 0-0 tie, but obviously that's not going to be the case.
Cairns, number 3, on for the extra point. White will hold. Wind going left to right. Kick is up and good. Line drive.
Not the best kick by Ian all year, but still in all, he puts it through the goalpost, and they have that important 7th point. Right, Phil?
Yes, I'll tell you.
You know what I'm alluding to?
Yes, I went to the South River New Brunswick game last night, and of course it was a 6-6 tie. And I'll tell you, I was quite disappointed. I'm usually rah-rah about my Rams, but I've seen more teams playing not to lose this year than I ever have. And, I don't understand all that PowerPoint junk and all that stuff.
As far as the playoffs are concerned, yeah, but South River could have should have been in a position to nail the top seed down. But as a result now, it looks like Highland Park is going to get that first seed.
I just believe in momentum. I just believe you go in and you just stay on the roll.
All right, Cairns will kick it off for East Brunswick.
By the way, another important game going on here this afternoon in Woodbridge. Madison Central, who East Brunswick upset 2 weeks ago.
That ball was fielded by, I believe, number 81. I'm not sure.
Well, today is Saturday.
So muddy.
Today is Saturday, is it not?
Yes, today is Saturday.
I will tell you, so when you watch this game on Monday, that Colonia will beat Madison Central.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fair enough. And if Colonia does, Madison Central will probably fall to either the 3rd or 4th seed in Central Jersey Group 4. Now, if somehow Madison wins the game, and admittedly it's probably a toss-up from our perspective, they will get the 2nd seed in the home field advantage, playing probably either Edison or Trenton. Middletown South is the number 1 seeded team.
Well, here we go. Woodbridge, 1st and 10 across their own 40. And there's nowhere to go by Tolko. With 1:40 left, third period, Woodbridge trailing now 7-0. And should Madison Central win that game, Phil Hill will take everyone to dinner who's hearing this broadcast.
Yeah, it's an interesting year. You'd have to say that the top teams in Middlesex County this year do not come from the red division, but actually the white division. Bishop Bar and Colonia are perhaps the 2 better teams, and then of course Madison Central representing the red division. We'll have to see after today's game as to where the teams filter out.
2nd and 10 for the Barons at their own 41. A minute left here in the third period. Number 13 is looking. He's got his man caught by number 85, Venewald.
You kind of figure that would be coming with less than a minute to go with the wind at Woodbridge's advantage. They probably had to utilize some sort of pass play.
Well, again, when you have that type of ability,
Why not use it?
And we'll call that young man Kobe. So Chris Kobe, because we certainly don't have the right spelling of his last name.
I think you were right the first time, Roger Venewald.
No, the quarterback now, number 13 for Woodbridge.
The passer.
So it's first down.
Anyway, it's Koblakowicz.
Koblowitz.
I'll call him Kobe. I hope he appreciates it. Anyway, great pass. Gives Woodbridge, rather, 1st and 10 at the East Brunswick 30. So Woodbridge answering right back with 50 seconds left.
That was a big yardage play.
And now Mormon back in at quarterback. And Barton falls forward, close to the East Brunswick 25.
It's about 4, John.
And you're right, though, with Mormon back in there, the tip-off of the pass, which they had to do anyway, was there when Chris came in.
So it'll be 2nd and about, let's call it 7 for Woodbridge. 26 seconds remaining, 3rd period. Ball at the East Brunswick 26-yard line.
And if this is not a pass play, this probably is going to be the last play of the quarter.
Woodbridge sends 2 receivers wide left. Pro set offense. Mormon fakes the Barton, keeps it, and actually maybe loses a yard or gets to the line of scrimmage and nothing more. And that'll do it for the 3rd period.
You see, Mike Salento, Phil, was trying to call timeout. I think he was trying to get one more play off with the wind, and that's not going to happen now. So if Woodbridge is going to score, they're going to have to do it against the wind.
Right.
Some discussion on the field, and apparently they gave him the timeout.
Let's see.
The end of the quarter.
Is it? PA announcer just said that this is the end of the
Yeah, well, he's
third
looking at
quarter.
the clock like we are.
Yeah.
We know that too, but
But the officials are...
they gave him the timeout apparently.
And the PA announcer, of course, is Bix. And Bix is thought of as certainly one of the better announcers
He's an institution
in the
Woodbridge.
county. He's an institution around here. You're right. Of course, we have a pretty good one back in East Brunswick who really does,
Mr. George Pinfield.
just really does the job, you know.
That's a good point. Let me mention something. I don't know how many people know the background of George Pinfield. George Pinfield was one of the best coaches East Brunswick ever had. Was a line coach and was their JV coach for years and produced a number of undefeated JV teams. And the only reason he has not been on the sidelines over the last several years is because of a recurring hip problem.
I see.
And surgery. But George, most people don't know this, played at the University of Georgia with a fellow by the name of Fran Tarkington.
Is that right?
So George Pinfield certainly knows his football, and I know he would much prefer to be on the field than in the booth, but he does a super job in the booth.
He certainly does.
And we start the 4th period, and Woodbridge starts it with a timeout. And while I have the timeout, I'd like to run down, and Jimmy, if you'd help me out a little bit, to read the names of the seniors.
Sure.
Number 7, Troy White.
Right, and we have number 8, Craig Borgen, who caught that pass.
Number 33, Pat Casanelli.
And, of course, Ted Lung, number 39.
Greg Rulo, number 40.
Number 41, Pete Page.
Todd Petchar, number 45.
And number 49, Dave Ning.
We go up to Bill Cosgrove, number 51.
Right, and number 53, Bill Heinlein.
Vince Di Giovanni, number
Right.
57.
And number 59, Dan Skidmore.
John McKenna, number 62.
And number 65, Josh Weststraight.
Scott Bernardi, number 69.
Okay, number 72, Mike Napshin.
Gary Rickey, number 73.
Number 79, Joe Keegan.
Number 89, Brian Nardini.
And finally, the punter, number 99, Drew Staley.
They are all seniors playing their last game this afternoon, and we wish those gentlemen the best of luck in the future.
We certainly do.
Here we go, Barons, 3rd and 6. The ball at the East Brunswick 25. Kobe looking to throw. He's got a man, and he throws short. I believe that was Barton going down the right sideline.
Yeah, he was open.
And he was open.
Phil, there's a case of a young quarterback not setting his feet,
Well,
squaring his shoulders, and throwing the ball.
well, and again, he couldn't set his feet very well. He was on the run, but even if he were able to stop.
So this is a 4th down.
Big call here for Woodbridge. We just started the 4th period, 11:52 left. East Brunswick on top, 7-0, but the ball is spotted at the East Brunswick 26-yard line, and Woodbridge is facing a 4th and 6. And number 13, Chris Kobe, as we're calling him, is in the shotgun formation. High snap.
Boy, it's been that way all afternoon for Woodbridge.
He's got time. He intercepted Casanelli.
Oh!
At the 20, he falls.
Pat couldn't get his footing. Well, it was a 4th down play, and quite frankly, East Brunswick could have gotten the ball in better field position if
By
they
now.
let it drop. But nonetheless, you don't take chances in that situation.
Never know.
And What'd you say, Phil?
You're right, Jim.
Okay.
Hey, if I have a chance for an interception,
take
I'm going to take it, right?
Right,
Your
exactly.
senior year, your last game, you're going to take it.
Pat Casanelli's done a super job all
Yeah,
year.
he has. So that's the first turnover for East Brunswick this time, this game. And East Brunswick with the win. Of course, don't want to make any mistakes here now.
They'll come out with the wishbone offense. That's Varnell Johnson. He gets back to the line of scrimmage. Clock will roll, though, on this wishbone. And that's really the key factor at the moment.
Well, East Brunswick needs to get a couple first downs, too. I don't think they can afford to just sit here and, of course, they do have the advantage with the win, and they could punt out of trouble.
Rick Lehman again on tackle. This guy's been in and on an awful lot of tackles.
Yeah.
He's
that was a big play. That last play there, where that interception, Woodbridge may have some difficulty penetrating as well as they have, and they didn't convert on that fourth down.
Second and about 9.5 for East Brunswick as White rolls to his left, loses the ball, and Woodbridge has it at the 20-yard line of East Brunswick.
White was hit. And now the East Brunswick defense is going to have to come in and do the job. You're saying, John, that White was sort of uncommitted as to whether to pitch or hold on.
And he's carrying that ball up around the face mask.
I think that was Chester Bragger, number 84, who had the recovery there.
Well, I had said before that Woodbridge would not have an opportunity to get as deep as they were. Here they are with the turnover. Second for them.
You have to be impressed with this Woodbridge team, and I think if you look to 1990, this may be one of the surprises, as Edison is this year.
Really?
And number 13, that quarterback we've seen a little bit of, has some skills there. Anyway, Mormon will lead out the Barons, 1st and 10, and there goes Tolko. And he gets to the line of scrimmage and no more.
Phil, with probably the disadvantage of playing the dual quarterbacks here is when Mormon is in, you almost know that it's going to be a run situation.
Right.
East Brunswick was ready for it there.
Well, if what Mike Salinto has to do over the next year or so with those two sophomore quarterbacks is make them unpredictable.
Yeah.
Have that passer run more, and have the runner pass a little bit more. So,
Make them a little bit more versatile.
really.
All right, number 13 comes back in. That's Chris K, or Chris Kobe, as we're calling him. He takes Mormon's spot. 2nd and 10 for the Barons, 9:35. He's looking over the middle. Intercepted Casanelli again.
And boy, we just talked about the predictability there with Kay in there. You knew he was going to throw it. Pat was ready for it. And another interception.
And what a way to finish out your high school career with 2 interceptions in the 4th quarter, deep in your own territory. Pat Casanelli, number 33.
Well, he's made some big plays all year. Of course, probably none bigger than that tackle in the Madison Central
That's
game,
right.
which
We remember that.
turned things around.
Boy, quite a couple turns of events here in the last minute or so.
East Brunswick now 1st and 10 from their 19-yard line. White goes right up the middle, crosses the 20. He'll pick up 3 yards. Clock running. We're inside of 9 minutes left in this game.
He was holding it tight that time, John.
Now, it's hard to believe, gentlemen, but in about 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be into the basketball season. And
Yeah.
Basketball season should be a good one
it
for
should be
the
a competitive
Bears.
season this year
Right.
in the GMC particularly, including Woodbridge. They have a very good basketball team.
Yes, they do. It's going to be very competitive all year.
White looking, pitches back to Pilato. Pilato needs a block. Johnson out ahead, just couldn't handle 3 Woodbridge players.
But he did a good enough job, though.
I'll tell you, give me Frank Tolko on my team, number 8.
Yeah.
he really came up. You got to like it. Surprised at the pitch, Jimmy?
Because of the situation. Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, I think White has been, as the year has gone on, he's gotten a little bit more comfortable with that pitch, and the team has. And I didn't see any risk involved right there. They're going to measure this,
They're
huh?
going to measure for the first
Okay.
down. And Phil, I got to agree with you. I love the way this number 8 plays for Woodbridge,
Frank
Tolko.
Right.
He isn't the biggest or the quickest, but he's in the middle of
He
everything.
brings it.
This is kind of an important first down for East Brunswick, even though this is going to be a 3rd down coming up. They do want to get a first down here.
And it is first down, East Brunswick, with 8:11 to go in the 4th period. They lead 7-0. been a fascinating season for us this year in the sense of seeing some new faces and new talent, not only at East Brunswick but at the other schools as well.
Sure.
So 1st and 10 for the Bears. The ball spotted at the East Brunswick 29-yard line. Inside goes, I think that's Pechar.
Right, and that was stopped. Yeah, it was
Joe Brodzinski, right guard, number 71 in on the tackle.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 now for the Bears. Wishbone formation. Inside Rulo. And he's close to a first down.
I think we got another possible measurement situation here.
Rulo takes it up the gut, breaks to the outside, and picks up 9, maybe 10.
They're going to give it to him.
1st and 10 for the Bears.
And the clock continues to run, John.
7:10 left in the game.
Here's Bix at it.
Oh, what happened there?
Oh, good penetration by Woodbridge.
He's going to lose on that.
Rulo carried and maybe lost half a yard.
Well, he's been the workhorse for the Bears this afternoon. It's really one of the few games that Troy White has not been the leader in terms of numbers of carries.
6:25 left, 4th period. East Brunswick on top, 7-0.
I have Rulo with 11 carries unofficially.
2nd and 11. A little counter move to Johnson. Johnson will pick up 3. Clock is running, and soon Mike Salento is going to have to start thinking about timeouts.
So he was probably not charged with that timeout in between the 3rd and 4th quarter when he tried to stop it. So you have to assume that Woodbridge has 3 remaining, all 3.
East Brunswick facing a 3rd and about 8. Ball spotted at the East Brunswick 41. White will roll to his left, being pressured. Pitches back to Pilato. And Pilato's going to be short of the first down as he crosses the 45-yard line.
A little bit of a risky play there.
I'll tell you, Chester Bragger thought he had Troy White, and White pitched it out to Pilato, but very risky.
4th down. Let's see what East Brunswick does. They send Staley out.
Yeah, he would do well to just nail this ball as far as he can and make Woodbridge work.
Good snap is needed here. Figueroa, number 5, and Mazuka, number 27, go back for the Barons. High snap, Staley pulls it down, gets off a high kick, a good kick.
Yeah, he'll let the wind
Fair
work
catch by Figueroa. He drops the ball. I think he pulled it back, though. I think he recovered his own fumble. Let's see. Yes, and actually picked up 3 yards on the change.
And I'll tell you, gentlemen, you know, we talked about it a couple of times. Haley, a left-footed punter, has a reverse spire on it. Most receivers are used to the ball spinning the other way, and the young man made the mistake of letting the ball get to his chest. You got to catch that ball with your hands.
Yeah.
Bounced off his chest, and they're lucky to recover it.
5:19 remaining in the game. East Brunswick on top, 7-0. Woodbridge has it 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line.
And the clock moves after the exchange of punts, of the punt.
Barons needing to go 70 yards to get on the board. Quick pass outside to Moorcraft.
Really, Bears were not fooled. That was Pekar.
Well, they're not
Pechar.
fooled. They're not fooled, but that's the type of play that when you get that ball out there, that receiver has to have some speed. He has to be able to shake and bake in order to get loose. If not, it's not going anywhere.
And it kind of went to the short side of the field, too, so he really didn't have a lot of room to run.
Okay, I think I think what they got to do is they got to bump number 85, Roger Vinterwald, at the line of scrimmage there. The tight end, do not let him get it loose.
That's right. He's made that one successful pass catch for Woodbridge that brought him down into East Brunswick's territory.
Well, Chris Kobe in at quarterback, number 13. He is the passer. They going from a pro set. Kobe looks to his right. He's got his man outside.
Ooh,
Great catch there. Neil Sullivan, number 14.
I tell you, and a good tackle. Number 41, Pete Page.
Yep.
Pete Page is back.
Yeah, we had thought he was out for the year.
Really? Number 41, Pete Page, had gone out with rib injuries
Right. Well,
several times, and
Well, he's a senior, and he probably wanted to play his last game.
I tell you, I like it.
And you got to like the arm of number 13. And he's only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore.
Third and about 4 for the Barons. The ball at the at the Woodbridge rather, 37. Kobe has it. He rolls to his left. This is going to be a tough throw for him. He gets it off.
Ooh!
Off the hands of Barton and almost into the hands of Page.
Yeah.
Fourth down and 4.
And Phil, that's a lot to ask of a young man. Roll to his left.
Roll to your left and throw
Throw
back.
back.
Tell you what, one of the best I've seen it doing that was our quarterback from last year, Brian Forte.
Yes. I'll
He
tell you,
used to make it look effortless.
Joey T. Joey T did it as well as anybody.
timeout Woodbridge. I'll tell you who I thought was the best at doing that. An old quarterback from Madison Central.
Davis.
Glenn
Glenn
Davis.
Glenn Davis. He was super.
Wasn't big, but he had an arm and can roll and throw. Although Theismann wasn't that big.
Joey Theismann could roll left and throw back the other way about 60 yards downfield. He was amazing.
No,
for a
you
high
have
school
some
quarterback.
personal experience with that.
He's good.
Well, we have 3:24 left in the game as Woodbridge takes a timeout. Important drive for them.
Well, they definitely have to convert here. I think their thinking is that they're not going to get the ball back. So let's go for it right here rather than punt.
They're facing a 4th and about 4. The ball at their own, but let's say 37-yard line.
And Salento is discussing what his team should do. Phil, I guess you do throw on this, right?
Well, actually a true wishbone, you would not.
Yeah.
A true wishbone, if your team was really clicking, you wouldn't. Madison Central would never throw in this situation here. But you got to believe Woodbridge has to.
I've been informed that number 13's last name is Chris. Obviously, his first name is Chris, but his last name is pronounced Koblakowicz.
Good enough.
And we certainly apologize to the young man.
We chopped you up today, Chris, but we didn't mean it.
I kind of like Kobe.
Here we go.
Anyway, he's in there, number 13, and a shotgun, and 4th and 4. Young man under some pressure, throwing outside. He's got Barton. Barton's still on his feet. Pilato is the last man. He won't get him. Can you believe this?
I can believe it. It's been the East Brunswick story this year.
As soon as I pronounce his name correctly,
I think we should apologize. We apologized too soon to the young man, and he came through with a big play.
Well, let's focus in on this extra point here now. Let's see. This is very important.
Marvin Barton going about 60 yards last week against Colonia. As I mentioned, he went 69 yards for a touchdown, so it's a big play and a big extra point.
You know what's going to happen
Woodbridge.
here. They're going to call timeout, and Mike Salento is going to go for 2 points.
The young man, Chris Koblakowicz, number 13, hits Barton down the right sideline. Casanelli couldn't catch him. Pilato was the last man, couldn't catch him. And we're at 7-6 now with a timeout called by Woodbridge. 3:08 left in the game.
Boy, what do you do in this situation here, man? You needing 3 yards to get that go-ahead, 2 points.
Do you go for the 2?
Mike Salento will be very
absolutely.
smart.
That's why he called timeout.
No,
Jim.
Mike Salento's going out there, checking out that field right down in the area there to see just what is what. Whether it should be a running play or a passing play. He's looking at the condition of the field down that in there. Then he's going to make his decision as to what he should do.
Now, number 17.
Interesting. I don't know if you
into the
saw,
game.
but Salento talking to the official in terms of where the ball should be laid down.
John, this is something they talked about earlier before the game. The officials agreed that considering the conditions, they would put the ball down at certain spots.
Well,
Okay.
Kablakowicz comes out of the game, and Mormon is in. 17 is Mormon?
Yes.
So, boy, I don't know. I mean, it's been holding true to form all afternoon. Now Barton comes back in. You got to believe this is going to be a running play.
So we have to try for the
Well, Salerno's still in a huddle, which is a little unusual. Needs to get out of there. And he does, coming to the sideline.
Big play.
Obviously.
7-6 the score. This is it. Woodbridge is going to go for 2.
Watch Marvin Barton, I'd say.
Barton or Toko, they're the 2 running backs. It's Toko. He's going to throw it back to
to-
Mormon.
Oh,
And
mercy.
they tie it up. They take the lead, 8-6.
Excellent play. And East Brunswick was looking run all the way. They did just a great call, Phil.
You know, we talked about it before.
Going for something.
Going
That's all
for
we've
it.
been saying
Right.
all day. Go show something for your team.
Yep.
Be innovative. You have nothing to lose. Go for it. And Mike Salerno went for it there. Came up with a big play. One of the few trick plays of the day. And it paid off.
Sure
It
did.
paid off. Woodbridge on top, 8-7 with 3:08. And boy, did that wake this crowd up.
Well, East Brunswick still has enough time to mount a drive. And they do have the wind at their backs. So this game is not over,
Oh, no.
but still in all for Woodbridge to score and take the lead with 3 minutes to go after really showing nothing all game.
And tip your hat to Mike Salento. He went out there. He made that call, and they executed perfectly.
All right, back for East Brunswick will be Long and Casanelli. They're the deep men, followed by Pilato and Johnson. And I think one of those 4 are going to handle the ball. McDougal will kick it off.
And don't look for any great distance on this kick.
Low kick. Johnson will field it at the 20. Goes up the middle.
Ooh.
Still on his feet as he crosses the 40. And down to about the 41-yard line.
Not bad field position to start this drive. Now
And-
remember, East Brunswick has an excellent field goal kicker, Eon Carnes.
Here we go. 3 minutes left in the game. East Brunswick will have it 1st and 10 from their own 41.
So they really don't have a heck of a long way to go before they get in. How do you pronounce his last name, John?
Cairns.
Okay, I apologize.
And you can look for the trips right off the bat.
Trips to the left.
Now, of course, Woodbridge will be waiting for this, so you got to watch for the interception.
Woodbridge in a zone defense. As White rolls to his left, Plants looks over the middle. He's got Tenora. Tenora, first down
Oh!
to the Woodbridge 40-yard line.
And I'll tell you, for the Woodbridge fans, what the Bears are doing, they're loading up three receivers to the right, one side, and one receiver to the other side. And Troy White, the quarterback, will usually roll out and pick out anybody that breaks open.
And Salento uses his last time out here.
Timeout Woodbridge.
Probably a good move on their part. Woodbridge looked a little bit confused. We had mentioned that East Brunswick did not have to travel all that great distance. They got 18 yards on that play. And really, you have to think that all they need to do is get it maybe about another 15, 20 yards for a realistic shot at a field goal.
Well, I'll tell you, see Marcus Borden out there, and he really wants this drive here. I tell you, this team, you know, at the beginning of the year, we probably felt that they would be somewhere right around here. But then during the season, it took on a different turn.
Yeah, it did.
I think they turned out at one point to play a lot more competitively than we had expected. Some different names rose to the top, and they deserve a winning season this year. So they really want this drive.
All right, my thought was that they have won a couple of games, maybe one game that I thought that they wasn't going to beat. That was being Madison Central, and then of course
Lost some that we didn't
Edison
expect.
and Perth Amboy.
Yeah.
But I think that Edison game, now that you think about it, Edison being 7-1 at this juncture, perhaps not an upset.
1st and 10, East Brunswick. White looking. He's being pressured. He's going to be dropped for a loss.
Big play.
Joe Brodzinski, number 71, coming in making a big tackle.
Right, if he doesn't get Troy White, White has a lot of sideline here on the near side.
Clock running, 2:25 left in the game. 2nd and about 13 for the Bears. White again looking. Throwing down the middle deep.
Ooh.
He was looking for Borgen.
Who was it for? Looks like
Number
Morgan
8.
stopped a little bit.
That'll stop the clock at 2:13, bring up a 3rd down and 13 yards. Ball spotted at the Woodbridge 43-yard line.
And here we go. Really was no huddle to speak of.
No secret, East Brunswick has the trips to the left.
He's in that mud.
He needs some help. He's looking for a guy over the middle.
Oh,
nice
Great
block.
defensive play by
Oh, I'll tell you,
Tolko, number 8.
Toko's been all over the place. Very close, John. I thought he was on his back. He was reaching over. Apparently, the officials didn't see it that way, so let's call it a good play.
4th down, timeout, East Brunswick.
And
Well,
Marcus Borden is saying,
so.
hey, what do I have to do to get a call? What do I have to do to get a call? It seemed like the young man might have been up the receiver's back.
2:04 left here in the game.
Yeah.
8-7, Woodbridge on top.
Something I noticed on that play that Woodbridge was definitely set on keeping R.J. Davis inside, not letting him off that line of scrimmage.
Well, RJ's been double teamed all day. One guy down low and one guy up top there. And they've been trying to keep him from getting out there.
And you figure, look, East Brunswick now using its first timeout, only having 2 left. If they don't make it here, doesn't look too good for the Bears.
8-7 is the score. We had a scoreless first half, and all the action has really been in the last 4 minutes. East Brunswick looking to go 5-4. Woodbridge looking to improve to 2-6. Ball is spotted on the Woodbridge 43-yard line. East Brunswick needs 13 yards for the first down. 4th down, big play here. White, again, rolls to his left, steps up.
He's going to run. No.
He's got a man out of the hands of Tenora, who had the first down.
He sure did.
Well, I'll tell you what happened there. Brian Tenora trying to make sure that he keeps his feet in bounds and concentrating on that so much he didn't quite concentrate on the ball.
All right, tough situation for the Bears now. Not only do they have to keep Woodbridge from getting a first down with 1:55, but they're going to have a long way to go here.
And you know, Woodbridge isn't going to do anything fancy.
Well, 3 downs here and kick, unless they can get the first down.
First down for the Barons. They take over at their own 43. Timeout, official timeout.
I didn't think they were going to. East Brunswick was going to call timeout. You're saying East Brunswick has 1 timeout left?
Do they not?
I think they have 2. I think they used 1 on that last drive there with Borden calling that timeout to set up for the play. You know, it was open. White scrambled, and I thought he was going to run with the ball, but he pulled up just before the line of scrimmage.
Mormon at quarterback. There's Barton. He's hit right at the line by number 20. I think that's Billings.
And East Brunswick will conserve its 2 timeouts.
I'll tell you, Billings with a pitcher book tackle there, just the way it's supposed to be done.
All right, the official is stopping the play here, but has not indicated it. Okay, now they have.
2nd and 10.
Good timeout.
Well,
So
Bears
with
have 2 more.
1:46 left in the game, it'll be 2nd and 10 for Woodbridge.
2nd and 10 from the 43 of Woodbridge.
Again, Woodbridge probably going to be playing conservative on this. Although you never know. Huh? You know, I think Salento showed his true colors on the way he went for that 2-point conversion. And very simply, if East Brunswick was ready for it, that would have been the game. So it was a part of a gamble on Mike Salento's part to come up with that trick play on the 2-point conversion.
That's
I
a
mean, if
gamble.
that player was not open.
Yeah, but it's a gamble you had to take.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. I believe East Brunswick has 1 timeout left.
Second and 10 now for the Barons.
2nd and 10.
Mormon keeps, cuts upfield. He'll pick up 2.
See if East Brunswick calls its final timeout.
And
they
do.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's it. East Brunswick out of timeouts with 1:40 left.
So let's assume that Woodbridge plays conservatively here. I think they would have to, not wanting to throw the ball in the air and risk an interception.
Dave Christensen coming up nicely there.
Right. And that means that East Brunswick conceivably could get the ball back with just over a minute to go and needing to drive pretty much a good distance, good part of the field. This turned out to be an interesting game today.
Yes, it did, considering the first half, when it's scoreless first half.
Well, I tell you, both these coaches very much alike. Both fiery, both very competitive. Both defensive backs in college, and
boy, I bet you
both
Mike
wanting this
Salento
win.
really wants this one big, huh? Quite a bit of a rivalry between Marcus Borden and Mike Salento.
3rd and 7.
Well, East Brunswick out of timeouts. Woodbridge facing a 3rd and about 7 with a minute and 40 to go in this game. They lead the Barons 8-7.
he's passing.
Mormon rolls right, hold on to it, and he gets the first down. And goes out of bounds.
Still in all, that's going to do it for Woodbridge. Crucial play right there, and he gets the first down.
Jason Mormon, just a sophomore, picking up probably the most important first down of the year.
Looks like he hurt himself.
Yeah. Well, there goes he did not get out of bounds.
They're telling him to stay on the field.
And really, folks, all you have to do is just run 3-4 plays here, and it's over. Now they stop it.
Official time out. Mormon is hurt, and he's trying to tell the official.
Well, the clock being used
and why we have
very
this,
well.
why we have this timeout, I want to send our thanks to the athletic director here at Woodbridge, Joe Dorsey, as well as to the field crew chief, Steve Dobos, for their help in allowing us, Channel 8, to be here and for their fine cooperation. We thank both of those gentlemen.
Really, I have to tell you what, I think this facility here at Briscoe Stadium is really just a prototype for the type of press box and facilities that we wish that all the other stadiums could have. That way we could bring you the even the away games for East Brunswick.
Koblakowicz
is back in. Chris K. We've called him everything.
He's been Special K today.
He's been Special K, you're right. And he's led this team. In fact, brought him to the winning edge so far. Woodbridge on top, 8-7 with 55 seconds. East Brunswick has no timeouts left. And they'll go down. Chris will go to a knee.
Clock continues to roll. This is going to be it, folks.
And gentlemen, I have to say it's been a pleasure again working with both of you.
Right.
As usual, a fine job, outstanding job. And we
well,
move into the winter season.
Yeah, we have to leave behind the football season. This, I guess we have to say it. This is going to mark the first losing season for the Bears since 1983. It's been a fine streak for them, you know, with a lot of excellence over the year. Now they're calling a penalty for too much time, but a good penalty to take nonetheless.
But I tell you, it's been an interesting year, and as I said before, not very different record-wise, I think, from what we thought might happen, but then a lot of kids came to the front. But again, still tough to take.
Yeah.
So East Brunswick will finish their season 4-5. Woodbridge will improve to 2-6 as the last 18 seconds will be counted off. And you got to give credit to this Woodbridge team. They hung in there. They fought tough.
That's the last play, John.
And that will do it.
Counting down.
And a special thanks before we leave to the two guys who really make it all happen for us and for you. And that's Pete Canamessa and Dave Ambrosi, who have been with us for about 6 years now, through thick and thin and all sorts of weather.
I'll tell you, John, you're right. When the weather's bad, we leave right away. These guys are still out here with that equipment. They do a nice job.
And you see the teams shaking hands with each other. Probably one of the nicer wins for Woodbridge and Mike Salentos. What is this, his second year?
His second year here at Woodbridge, right?
And he looks like he has some material to work with for next year, for sure.
Plenty of material, plenty of young talent, and they can only get better.
And Marcus Borden, tough year, as you said, I think in the Madison Central game, Phil. This maybe was his toughest coaching job.
I think he's done a very, very credible coaching job this year. It's just been very difficult. They lost an awful lot of people last year. And as I said, some names did rise to the top here, but they have some young people themselves, and you got to believe they're only going to get better.
Well, that's it. The final again from Prisco Stadium here in Woodbridge. It's the Woodbridge Barrons 8, East Brunswick Bears 7. Season finale for East Brunswick. They finish 4-5, and we move indoors to the hardwood in December, and hope that everyone who has followed us through the fall season will continue to be with us in the winter for the East Brunswick High School Bears basketball season. So for Phil Hill and Jim Allinder, I say thanks so much for being with us this fall high school football season. Hope to see you shortly soon.